So you're thinking about moving to Las Vegas and you're considering one of our amazing over 55 communities as a final destination. But you want to know the good and the bad, the pros and the cons, and what to look out for before you make that final decision. Well, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in this video. We're going to be going all over the pros, but we're going to also go over the cons, the downside. And there are a few, and you need to be aware of those before you make that final decision. In fact, we're going all in on the pros and the cons, the good, the bad, and the ugly of the over 55 communities here in Las Vegas right now. By the way, my name is Micah Bleecher, and I love living in Las Vegas. I think you're going to love living here too. Now, if you're thinking about moving here, you should know that we put our whole heart into helping people make that move. Now, I've lived here for more than 20 years, but before that, I've made several cross-country moves, and believe me, I understand the pain points. And we're here, my team is here to help you through those. Helping people is what we do. So feel free to reach out, shoot me a text, send me an email, schedule a Zoom with me. All of our information is right down below. It's all over the channel, and we'll get started helping you make that smooth and painless move here to the amazing city of Las Vegas today. It's an incredible town. And if you want to know everything there is to know about the Las Vegas Valley from tip to tip and everything in between, then come join me on my neighborhood deep dives. We're covering a lot of ground, we're having fun, and we're learning things. Hit subscribe, tap the bell, and never miss a show. We got new shows every week. So as I mentioned, we're here today talking about the ins and outs of living in an over 55 community. With the growing number of communities that are available here in Las Vegas and the fact that our over 55, especially the over 65 demographic is growing faster than any other demographic here in town, it's critical to understand these communities and if they do in fact align with your lifestyles and your values. So let's break down the advantages and the disadvantages and make sure that these over 55 communities are for you. Now we're going to start first with the pros. Good news first, then the bad news, starting with number one. So of course the number one advantage, pro of living in an over 55 community is the age restriction. That's the whole point. That's why people move into these communities. And living with peers of a similar age can oftentimes foster a strong sense of community and shared interests. For example, you might have neighbors that play golf, that share your interest in gardening or pickleball, that type of thing. And it's easier to find people with shared interests in the same peer group. And so that's how these neighborhoods are designed. So pro number two, the second advantage of these over 55 communities are all of the active lifestyle amenities. There's quite a bit. There's really incredible amenities at these communities. Many of them have clubhouses. In fact, all the ones that I'm aware of here in Las Vegas have incredible clubhouses. In fact, Sun City Summerlin has like 3 clubhouses and 3 golf courses, but they all have incredible amenities. Some of them have bocce ball, they have pools, they've got lap pools, saunas, all different types of activity areas and various amenities. And it just makes it easier to get involved and stay active and do things when everything is right there at your fingertips in an over 55 community. Now, the third advantage of over 55 communities is low maintenance living. Now, generally, all of them are designed for the most part, with low maintenance in mind, smaller homes, smaller footprints in the yards, easy to maintain landscaping, that kind of thing. But many of them offer exterior landscaping services, exterior painting services. Some of them take care of the roof. Some of them you don't take care of anything on the outside at all. And, you know, let's face it, after a while, some people really get tired of doing home maintenance and they'd rather spend what little time they have left doing other interesting things. And so that's a distinct advantage of these over 55 communities. So the fourth advantage to the over 55 communities is safety. Many of them are guard gated. Not all of them. Sun City does not have a guard gate, but they do have roving security, oftentimes by volunteers that were former police officers. So safety is always an issue at these communities, and it's very important to the people that run them. Now, that in mind, I don't care what neighborhood you're in, how many gates they have. I always recommend a home security system. And no matter what neighborhood you're in, I always recommend being aware of your surroundings because anything can happen anywhere. But with these over 55 communities, safety and security is always at the top of people's minds. Now, the fifth advantage to over 55 communities is social opportunities. Regular events like clubs and outings and activities create all kinds of opportunities for people to stay socially engaged. In fact, many of these communities have what I call cruise directors, social activity coordinators, people that are there and organize all kinds of events, clubs, wine tastings, outside outings, excursions, that kind of thing. Anyway, loneliness can be a killer for old people. So having these types of social activities, again, at your fingertips, where someone is actually managing and helping people get involved, can be very important and very crucial as people get older. And that's a distinct advantage of over 55 communities. Now, the last pro for today, and then we're going to get on to the cons, but the last advantage that we're going to talk about today is the predictable environment. The rules and regulations can really offer a stability and a quiet living experience for those who want to retire in peace. And a lot of people do, let's face it. Younger communities can be a lot more noisier. But on the other hand, you can get an old guy with some electric guitars, and when his friends come over and jam, could be a bit noisy. It's not going to be quite as quiet if you move next to me. Just saying. Okay, friends, that was the pros, the upsides, the good parts about living in over 55 communities, and now we're on the cons, the downsides. And I told you there's going to be a few, the dirty little secrets of living in over 55 communities. That's what we're going over right now, the cons. Con number one is the age restrictions itself. They can be great, of course, on the pro side, but they can also be limiting. What if you have a 19-year-old grandchild? They may be limited from being able to stay with you more than a couple or a few weeks, depending on the community rules. There's an 80-20 rule. If your spouse is younger than you, that would be perfectly okay, but a child under 19 could have very strict limitations. So that is a downside. And it also may limit how long a grandchild or a guest under 19 can stay with you, even if they're just visiting. So that would be con number one. The age restrictions can be limiting in some cases. Okay, this is con number two, downside number two, and that is the HOA fees. I mean, just about every community has them, but in over 55 communities, they can be a little bit more, but they have to pay for the guard gates, they have to pay for the social directors, and all of those extra activities do cost a little bit of money. So it can create a little bit more in HOA fees. In fact, I'm working with people right now, and the HOA fee is a big factor in which community that they're choosing. Some are much higher than others, and some are quite a bit more reasonable. So depending on what your financial situation is, the HOA fees can be a problem. Con number two, HOA fees, nobody likes them, and they can be a little bit higher in over 55 communities in some cases. So it's something that you need to check out and think about. Now, the third con involves rental restrictions. Now, if you're buying one of these homes to rent, let's say you're an investor, they can come with some pretty strict restrictions, not only the HOA restrictions, but the age restrictions. You're not going to be able to rent to somebody that's under 55. So that's going to be an issue. On the other hand, places like Sun City, Summerlin can be a great place to invest because they do allow 1-month rentals. And so that's an advantage of that particular community. Some of the other communities are flexible like that, but you have to check this out first. Anyway, Sun City is very flexible, so if you wanted to invest and rent out to people that are over 55, you could do it 1 month at a time at Sun City. Anyway, you have to check these things out before you get into the community and know what you're getting into. So con number four, I'm just going to bring this up, the HOA restrictions and regulations. You're not going to have an over 55 community where there's no homeowners association. You're always going to have one of those. And, they can be restrictive. You got to check out the rules. You get a chance to check them out before you buy. by the way. And if you don't like the rules, you can get out of the deal and get your earnest money back. But these restrictions, sometimes, they can control what color you paint your house, type of decorations you can have on the outside, that kind of thing. So it's important to know what these HOA restrictions are before you buy in, and it's important to read the rules and regulations that they provide while you are in escrow on a property, and they will let you know what the restrictions are exactly. Okay, so con number 5 is the resale market. The resale market for over 55 communities can be narrower than the rest of the real estate market in the town. The reason for that is because of the age restrictions, and so it can, in some cases, take a little bit longer for a home to sell in an over 55 community. It restricts the pool of buyers, so that can be an issue. However, when the market's hot, like it is now here in Las Vegas, days on market for over 55 communities and not over 55 communities are not that far apart. So right now, we're not seeing that wide range of difference between the two properties. But in a normal market, it can take a little bit longer to sell your house. Now, lastly, the last con we're going to talk about today is the potential for social isolation. It sounds counterintuitive because all the social activities and social planning and so forth. But if you get a community, say that's in Mesquite or Pahrump and is away from the city center and the urban life, it may be a problem for someone that's not used to that, despite all of the community activities within the neighborhood. So it's just something to think about, especially as people even get a little bit older, the possibility for social isolation grows. Now, I do get this question asked of me several times, and so I'm going to go ahead and answer it right here. How do age-restricted communities exist? How is it possible? Because it seems like there's discrimination against younger people by not allowing younger people into these over 55 communities. So how does that work? Well, I'll go ahead and answer that right here. Age-restricted communities exist due to an amendment in the Fair Housing Act that was an amendment enacted in 1995. Now, this amendment was known as the Housings for Older Persons Act, called HOPA, and it was enacted to provide exemptions to age discrimination rules, allowing communities to impose age restrictions on residents legally. Now, the primary reason for these exemptions were, number one, to promote housing options for seniors. And these housing options are to provide tailored environments to specifically meet the needs of aging people and designed to support their health and well-being. Number two, this amendment was enacted to support aging in place. Now, this allows seniors to live independently for longer before having to go to some type of assisted living facility. And nobody really wants to go to a place like that. It's just how things go after a time. And these over 55 communities allow people to live independently for longer. So it's a good thing for, seniors. And number three, to encourage social interaction. It's well known that loneliness is a killer for seniors. And these communities facilitate a sense of community and belonging and camaraderie amongst people of similar ages. So that's why these age-restricted communities exist. They're to help people as they get older. Now, Las Vegas offers an incredibly unique setting for over 55 communities. You have to admit that. We have options that cater to almost any lifestyle, whether you're interested in fitness or sports or entertainment or dining. There is something here for everyone. And these over 55 communities that exist around the valley, there's something for everyone. Whether you want resort style amenities or just a quiet, serene place to retire, Las Vegas has an over 55 community that will meet your needs. Well, friends, thank you so much for watching today. I sure appreciate you being with me. By the way, my name's Micah Bleecher, and I love living in Las Vegas. I think you're going to love living here too. Stay tuned for more adventures and video deep dives into the cool neighborhoods here in Las Vegas. In fact, come join me on my adventures. We're learning things, we're having fun, and we're covering a lot of ground. Hit subscribe, tap the bell, and never miss a show. We got new shows every week. And when you're ready, shoot me a text, send me an email, schedule a Zoom. My information is all over the channel. I can't wait to hear from you. I want to hear your needs. I want to see you. I want to listen to you and help you get started making that smooth and painless move here to the great city of Las Vegas. See you on the next show, friends.